There is a knowledge so old, so deep, that those who carried it were willing to die for it. Not to protect power, not to protect secrets, but to protect you. To protect the possibility that one day, you would be able to find your way back. Back to your true self. This is the story of Aji Pameleng, the ancient, forbidden Javanese art of meditation. And the story of why it was almost lost to the world forever. To understand this practice, we must first look at the words left behind by the sages. The word Aji points to a sacred spiritual power, the highest, most royal lineage of inner knowledge. The word Pameleng means Pasamaden, a state of absolute, unshakable meditation and total concentration of the mind. Together, they point to something extraordinary, the absolute pinnacle of human intention. The sacred art of turning inward, completely. In the old Javanese manuscripts, this internal journey was known by many names, each revealing a different side of the same diamond. Manakung, deep devotion through stillness. Pujabrotha, the strict discipline of inner worship. Mesu Jiptog, the rigorous refining of the mind. Matirogog, the conscious dying of the ego. Naningakan, Paningal, the complete clarifying of inner sight. All different names, all pointing to the exact same ancient door. Where did this profound knowledge come from? The Kitab Primbon Atassadhur is very clear. This deep wisdom originally arrived from the great, advanced civilizations of India thousands of years ago. At the exact same time that the Javanese people were carving magnificent temples, the khandis, the stone sanctuaries, out of the earth, this inner knowledge was being laid as the invisible foundation of the island. It was not a foundation made of stone, but a foundation made of pure human consciousness. The ancient sages who carried this wisdom across the oceans did not keep it hidden in temples. They shared it, and when they arrived on the shores of Java, the Javanese people recognized something instantly. They recognized it in their very bones. Because the Javanese soul, naturally patient, deeply intuitive, and profoundly feeling, was perfectly shaped to receive this knowledge. As the Primbon beautifully states, Kauro, Pasamaden, Rumasuk, Wanton, Ing, Balung Sungsuming, Titiyang, Jawi. This meditation wisdom entered the very marrow of the Javanese people. For centuries, Java flourished in this spiritual light. The knowledge of Pasamaden, of journeying into the absolute stillness of the self, was taught openly across the land. It belonged to everyone. It was taught to the young and the old, to the humble farmer working the soil, and to the powerful king ruling from the throne. People learned the art of sitting in true stillness. They learned to breathe with divine intention. They learned how to listen to the deepest, quietest layer of their own existence. And from this daily inner practice came an unshakable clarity. Came wisdom. Came absolute peace. This was the golden age of Javanese spiritual life, where heaven and earth met in the silence of the heart. Then, history shifted, and everything changed. With the political rise of the Islamic Sultanate of Demak in Java, a strict decree was issued across the kingdom: no more Pasamaden. No more inner, esoteric meditation. Abandon the old internal practices and embrace the external faith. For many Javanese practitioners, this demand was completely impossible. Not because they rejected God, but because this deep inner practice was the direct path to the divine. They could not simply turn off the light of their souls. So, they made a courageous choice. On the outside, they conformed. But on the inside, they kept the sacred fire burning. The teachings went completely underground. Masters passed this profound knowledge down in absolute secret, at midnight, deep within the shadows of the forests, by the rushing rivers, whispering the holy techniques from ear to ear. They spoke so quietly that even the blades of grass could not hear. The Primbon describes this survival strategy beautifully. Sanajan Suket, Godhong, Kevan, Boteng Kengnin Mireng. Even the grass, the leaves, and the insects were not allowed to hear. Because if they heard the absolute truth of this knowledge, they would instantly transform into human beings. Such was the shattering power of these hidden words. In the midst of this oppression, a man arose who would change Javanese history forever. His name was Syekh Siti Jenar. He was a wali, a great saint. But he was also a master who had received the absolute depths of the ancient knowledge of Pasamaden. And he did something radical, something the authorities could not tolerate. He refused to separate the two worlds. Instead of keeping his faith and Javanese meditation apart, he wove them into a single, flawless fabric. He boldly taught that true prayer was not something you only performed 5 times a day during ritual movements. True prayer was continuous. It was eternal. It was without a beginning, and without an end. He called this state, Salat Daim, the eternal, unceasing prayer. Salat, from the Arabic word for prayer, and Daim, meaning perpetual, constant, and permanent. In his profound vision, every breath you take, every heartbeat, every thought, and every moment of absolute inner stillness becomes a living prayer of remembrance. He took a sacred Islamic mystical concept and rooted it deeply into the quiet, meditative heart of Java. 2 paths, 1 ultimate truth. His students flocked to him by the thousands. Because his teaching was clear. Because it was real. Because it could be felt in the soul. But institutional power does not always welcome absolute spiritual truth. The ruling religious authorities, fearing that their mosques would empty and that the political control over the minds of the people would crumble, issued a swift, final judgment. Syekh Siti Jenar was executed for heresy. His closest followers were hunted down, and his sacred books were ordered to be destroyed. Or so they thought, because a knowledge that truly lives inside the human heart can never be burned by fire. His students dispersed across the length of Java. They built new hidden schools. They cleverly wrapped the ancient teachings in new, accepted religious forms. They called it by new names, like Wiridan Naksabandia, or Sattriya. But the golden heart of the practice remained exactly the same. The form changed, but the fire kept burning. Why does this ancient history matter to you today? Because the Kitab Primbon Atassadhur tells us something of vital importance for our modern lives. It says, Kauro Pasamaden Punika Dados Mekaning Sadaya Kauro. Meditation, the dedicated practice of going inward, is the absolute opening of all knowledge. It is the very beginning of all true wisdom. And then, the text says something even more remarkable. Wajib Sinabar Dados Sazerik Tirang Nom Sepu Waradan Ing Sign Nipun. It is an absolute obligation to spread this knowledge, to the young and the old, to every level of society, everywhere. Without exception, this profound knowledge was never meant to be hidden in the dark. It was never meant to be the exclusive property of a secret few. It was only hidden out of absolute necessity, for the sake of survival. But today, the silence is over. Today, we are free. And so today, through this channel, we honor the long, unbroken line of masters who kept this sacred fire alive through centuries of dangerous silence. We bring it back into the light. For you, in our very next video, we will step past the history and move directly into the practice itself. We will sit together and learn the ancient technique of Aji Pameleng, step by step. We will unlock the exact physical posture, the traditional breathwork, and the hidden mantra that activates the eternal prayer within your own life. But for right now, take a brief moment. Close your eyes, breathe, and know that the peace you have been searching for has been waiting for you for a very, very long time. Thank you for watching. Macha Nuan. Rahayu Saging Dumadi. Rahayu, Rahayu, Rahayu.